And this is a weird sound.
Can you get that, me?
Can you get that? Future me.
Hello, everybody. Spooky Sandwoman here. Hold on.
And Jess. Hi. Sorry.
Hi.
We finally got a bad time.
We finally got cold drinks.
Because after recording 4 other videos, you know.
And with the hot sex and also the dying in the last episode, we have simultaneous migraines.
There's a lot of emotions that we're going through very quickly.
C. So yeah, in the last episode, we had hot sex with, Sam. I almost said Damien. Please excuse me.
I will fight you. Demon War, let's go.
And we also had a very vivid...
Terrible nightmare.
Where we died.
Yep, Demon Lord or whoever was behind us, at least. Somebody in the
Probably one of those
plains.
pig demons.
Probably. Or servants, whatever the frick they are. Someone in the abyssal plains killed us.
And then Sam cried over our dead body, and it was very, very depressing.
Quite.
Anyway. At his scream, I finally awoke, sitting up in bed and finally being able to fully breathe again. I panted, feeling the need for fresh air to circulate through my lungs and chest. I ran my hand over my chest, feeling no marks and knowing that I was, indeed, alive and awake. But what of Sam? I looked to the side to see him still sound asleep, lost in his dreams, which seemed to be peaceful just from the look on his face. I let out a quiet sigh, closing my eyes and looking to the ceiling.
It was just a dream, nothing more.
It was merely a nightmare. I experienced them all the time. The more I thought of it, the more I could sense the fantasy of it. I was okay. We were okay. I ran a hand through my hair before lying back down, knowing that I would find solace in Sam's arms. As if by instinct, Sam wrapped both of his strong arms around my form, and I cuddled against his chest. We were fine. We were gonna be fine.
I don't know, there's a lot of, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. We're gonna be fine. There's a lot of that. I don't think everything's gonna be fine.
I mean, if it was, I don't think this game would be called the Demon War. It'd be called the Fine Day. Excuse me. At last, the wedding day arrived. We had prepared all that we could. What? Wow. We had prepared all that we could and everything was in order. Sam, wanting to follow human tradition and not see the bride before the wedding, headed to the venue to change into his tux.
Oh.
I, however, was alone. I didn't ask Naomi or Suzu to help and honestly didn't want them to. I needed to be alone before my wedding, so I got dressed and made myself into the perfect bride all on my own, in my own mansion.
And this will be your downfall because you're alone, so no one's gonna know if something happened to you or if you just ran off.
Mm-hmm. I stared at myself, seeing exactly what I wanted to see in the reflection. I looked exactly how I wanted to look on my wedding day.
Like this.
Sexy. Just every picture's... And Sam's like, babe, can we please just take a normal picture?
Yeah, it's fine.
And he's like, Jenna! And you're like, I'm sorry, what do you want from me?
That's how I pose.
Is this the first quarrel we have as a married couple?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Okay, can we really just try one more
picture?
picture?
One more
Okay. Just like the 1 second.
The split second they take the picture, so it's perfectly like this.
And then Sam's like, thank you. And then he doesn't realize it until you get the pictures back, and he's just like, oh, the good one's coming up. God damn it, Jenna!
What did I do?
And you're just like, oh god, he knows. Just
angry sex is the best sex. I gotta go.
I smiled, unable to shake the feeling of happiness from my body.
I'm getting married.
I let out a small sigh of relief, washed over what? I let out a small sigh as relief washed over my nervous mind. Everything was going to be fine if only I could learn to read English. As I heard a car honking outside, I felt nervousness creep in once again. I shook my head. I needed to relax. I grabbed the things I needed and rushed out, entering a white limousine. I was off. It was
see the resort.
It was set to bring me to the venue, but I stopped the driver before he began to drive off.
What? Can we stop somewhere first?
Oh,
Grandfather's grave?
Yep. The driver agreed and I guided him towards the cemetery my grandfather was buried at.
Oh boy.
It had been 2 years since he passed away. My personal visits to his grave had become fewer as time went on, but I had never stopped going. Today, though, was an incredibly happy day. I was so full of emotion I couldn't help but visit his gravestone. After all, I was about to marry a demon. I was about to marry the man of my dreams.
I was about to bury the man of my dreams.
I wanted to stop there before going to the wedding venue to talk to my grandfather. I'm pretty sure I looked odd in that cemetery wearing a wedding dress. However, I really didn't mind. I needed to come regardless. I stood by the grave, staring down at it with a smile.
I'm getting married today, Grandpa.
The wind gently danced around me as if my grandfather ushered it to a reply. My smile grew brighter, and I let out a sigh. I couldn't lie. I wanted my grandfather to be at my wedding, but I couldn't go back in time. Even if I was able to, how could I have stopped him from dying? I shook my head. I didn't want to think of that. Not on the day of my wedding. Not on the day of my daughter's wedding.
I hope you'll be there in spirit, Grandpa. I'm sure you'll...
Before I could continue my sentence, the sky...
My wedding dress!
Your makeup, your hair.
I'm more concerned with the dress.
The sky suddenly became dark, causing me to look up. Rain began to fall and patter against the stone and grass as a haunting bell began to chime. What boggled my mind was the fact that the rain was avoiding my body. It was like I was in a safe circle underneath an invisible umbrella so that the rain couldn't soak me or my dress.
What the...
Was this grandfather's doing? Why was it raining all of a sudden? The rain became heavy and I didn't dare move from my spot, afraid of what would happen. I looked at his grave, confused and concerned. My eyes locked onto the engraved stone. This wasn't a natural storm. Magic was at work here. My heart gave a quick squeeze in reply in conclusion, but the word magic reverberated in my mind. Magic. I looked down and lifted my hand to scan over my gloved palms. My fingers began to tingle, almost as if that single word had unlocked something. Magic. I gently pinched the edge of my glove on my hand with 2 fingers and slid it off, revealing my bare skin. Nothing had changed, but I could feel that something was different. I could faintly feel energy zipping through the nerves under my skin, dancing in excitement at the word magic.
I wonder.
I knew Diana had taken away my energy and my magic before she left. But what if...
She took your magic?
I think that was... one of the conditions.
I thought she only drained you of all your energy.
I don't
But
remember.
she needed as much energy as she could before she left.
I don't remember.
I'm having a problem.
What if I still had some left? I raised my hand to the sky and focused on the back of my hand. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had to see
She's
something.
gonna pull some Matrix shit and stop the rain.
My mind quickly formed a word in my mind. I didn't know where it came from. It was my mind, but I let it fly from my lips as a soft whisper.
Decino?
As soon as the sound of that word rose into the air, the rain around me suddenly froze as if time had stopped. The wind was still slightly blowing, but the rain had stopped.
Huh.
I slowly lowered my hand and looked around. Did I really do that? Before I could move again, the raindrops and the stormy clouds above began to fade away, returning to the sunny weather it had before. I looked around and noticed that the grass and the gravestones were all dry, as if the rain hadn't even fallen in the first place.
That was...
I knew it! I knew it! That girl has demon magic.
What?
demon magic?
No, I'm a human.
What the?
Then quit talking and let's take her!
How
Is that
about
the
no?
servant? That sounds like the
It
servant.
has to be.
The demon lord will be
Yep.
so
Oh, God, no. Who?
Before I could turn to search for the voices, I felt hands grab hold of my feet, and I looked down and lifted my dress. Ew. 2 pairs of evil-looking hands had taken hold of my ankles, reaching through the dark red and purple pentagram. I shrieked, trying to pull my legs away, but I couldn't stop them as they swiftly pulled me into the ground. I was pulled deeper into the darkness. I was no longer in my room. I was being dragged through... You weren't in your room, though. I was being dragged through a dark void, one that I couldn't escape. I reached out and clawed at the dark, trying to find something to grab onto. I tried to pull my legs away from the hands that were holding them, but couldn't pull free. What was going on? Why was this happening?
Someone help me.
As if someone had heard my screams,
Dun, dun, dun.
I suddenly felt the hands let go and disappear, leaving me to float in the darkness they left me in. I shut my eyes. Please let this be a dream. Please let this be a dream. I finally felt a surface under my feet and I collapsed onto it, my body curling in on itself from the experience I had. I didn't dare tear my eyes away from my lap, not ready to get up just yet. The voice I heard, however, made my heart stop.
You! What are you doing here?
I looked up, finally having the courage to take in my surroundings. My heart stopped beating for a moment, seizing in my chest. Hello.
Hey guys, I see you have a fairy and a bunny wizard and a ninja and some other demon devil thing.
I looked up to see 5 figures, strangers, monsters, beings that I didn't recognize. They all looked down at me in surprise as if I had dropped in at a very bad time. One man looked like an orc from a fantasy game without the tusks. He had broken horns and a very frightening aura around him as he stared at me. The other male was lanky in comparison, more human-like, but I could almost feel power emanating from him regardless. One of the women who was staring at me had rabbit ears. Rabbit ears. They twitched on top of her head as she looked at me and gripped her staff. She seemed harmless, yet she had animal ears. One creature that I couldn't discern the sex seemed more excited to see me than surprised. What freaked me out about them was that they had wings sticking up from their back and they were floating. The last woman, however, set off alarm bells in my head as I looked at her surprised face.
Why do I know her? Why do I know
Her hair, her eyes.
Diana? Tasteful side boob?
As she stared, the woman turned her body towards me in recognition to the name I called her. It was her.
What are you doing here?
Believe me, I want to know the answer to that as well.
I don't fucking know. I was pulled in here. I was supposed to be getting married.
Yeah, can't you tell by my wondrous garb? Diana walked towards me and stared down at me. It was odd. She didn't look like a human, yet I wasn't afraid of her demon form as it towered over me. I was more in shock as to what was going on.
Oh, you're attractive.
Before Diana could
cute.
speak further, look at him. He's fucking...
He's cute.
Ow. Most likely to repeat herself, a figure quickly stepped up and bowed to her, kneeling beside me.
My lady, please forgive me. I felt something moving between our worlds and assumed the Demon Lord was to blame, so I intercepted his summoning of this human.
You. So I wasn't the only one who felt the change in the air.
Diana stared at the man kneeling beside me as I kept my eyes up at her. As she turned her gaze back to me, I gulped silently. What was she gonna do with me? This all felt wrong. I was about to be married. I was about to live my happily ever after with the man I loved.
Not anymore, bitch.
Now I was in a place I didn't know with Diana and a bunch of other creatures I didn't recognize. My instinct was to...
My instinct.
Which is totally not a playthrough.
Which, definitely doesn't fucking say, so it doesn't matter. Let's see. What do I want to do?
I want to go with cry. I would cry.
I'd probably, in that position, I would probably stay still. Because I'd probably be frozen and not knowing what the fuck to do. Either that or I'd scream, like Yoonjium.
So, scream.
Yeah, I stay still.
Okay. I couldn't move.
That's better.
My mind was empty of emotions except for fear. Why was this happening? Where was I? Why was Diana here? Diana stared down at me before sighing and kneeling down to my level. As she settled onto her knees, I leaned away from her, unsure of what she'd do. Is she gonna kiss me again and take my energy? Knowing her, maybe.
Can you tell me what happened?
Oh, you're nice.
Wow. Dot dot dot. Bleh. Sorry.
I didn't want to speak. I felt no courage to. My mind was so wrapped around this chaos that I felt nothing but fear and anxiousness. This couldn't have been happening. I was dreaming.
Is she okay?
No, I'm not.
I don't think so.
This is a waste of our time. Just kill her or something.
Hey, listen. Dude,
Wow.
rude.
Yes, because that's a smart thing to do. Kill someone who is clearly traumatized and has done nothing to deserve death.
Thank
Brilliant
you.
idea. Bravo.
Thank you.
I don't know who you are. I think you're that ninja dude.
Yeah, I think you're the tall one.
I appreciate you, friend.
Same. Diana continued to stare at me, waiting for me to answer. Why? She didn't cast a spell on me, nor did she attack me.
I know, I took away the boys from her.
She continued to wait and stare. Slowly, my mind began to sink into the situation. Diana was willing to listen. Was she willing to help? That was another question, but first I had to answer her. My voice didn't want to answer still, so I forced myself to nod, wanting to answer her somehow. Diana smiled softly, which conflicted with my memories of her. She's never smiled like that. Yet she was now. Diana held out her hand, ushering me to take it.
Can you stand?
I nodded again and took her hand, standing up at last. I looked around at the other beings in the room. They all kept their gaze to me, unsure of what I would do or say. Diana, however, led the conversation.
First, can you tell me what happened to you?
Nope. Because fuck all. I took a breath, recounting everything that happened. I was about to go to the church to be married, and then...
I was attacked by this darkness. A couple of hands grabbed my legs and pulled me into it, and then I fell here.
A shadow summoning.
Sure. Hello.
Lanky male.
Diana turned to one of the beings, the lanky male, and glared.
One of yours couldn't have.
On my honor, it wasn't any of mine. We have nothing to gain from kidnapping a human. Nor do we know who this woman is, anyhow.
My lady, if I may, I clearly remember hearing imp demons in the void along with her. It must have been the Demon Lord's henchmen.
I like his, tattoo
Damnable
thing.
creatures. That explains it.
Diana crossed her arms and looked to me again.
Well, dear, it seems that you were to be either a new harem girl for the Demon Lord to ravish, or bait for the boys to return to their father's side. Either way, I doubt you would have lived long had the Demon Lord gotten his hands on you.
Thanks. That's reassuring.
Yeah, thank you kindly. A violent shiver ran up my spine. Was it true? I would have died?
Wait a minute. This girl knows about the Demon Lord's heirs?
Hi,
He
yes,
knows about his hairs.
he has too many of them.
He's actually bald. Bald! 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 My eyes!
Fucking SpongeBob. I love SpongeBob, man.
Yes. Hilariously enough, she was set to marry one of them, as you can see from her garb.
Garb.
Word!
That is a word, yes. You're funny.
Thank you. As Diana motioned towards my dress, I realized how vulnerable I was and felt extremely self-conscious. I wrapped my arms around myself as Diana let out a sigh.
Well, since you do not belong here, the obvious thing to do is to send you home.
Yes, please, thank you kindly.
Yes.
I couldn't help but stare wide-eyed at Diana. She was really gonna send me home? Really? I couldn't believe my ears.
You really want to send me back?
Of course. It should be easy to do once everything is in order. It'll be like you never left the human world.
Her eye looks really long.
That's because it is. She's a cyclops. She only has one eye.
Spoilers. Wait, like I never left the human world?
What do you mean by left the human world?
Diana stared before chuckling softly
You're in
and
the abyssal plains, dumb
gesturing
bitch.
to the room beings and beings within it.
Dear, do you not realize where you are? You are in the demon world.
Huh.
My mind went blank. It couldn't be. I couldn't be in the demon world. No way.
Hey.
No way in hell.
Hey. I mean, since we're here,
Can we get that shit
can we
for
get the shit for the demon thing? Because, you know.
It's like Sam just wrote down like a grocery list of like milk, bread, eggs, demon ritual stuff. It's like, hey Diana, do you happen to have
I have newt.
Yeah. Some dead man toe?
Dead man's toe. Dead man's toe.
I felt myself back up against the wall behind me, suddenly afraid. I was in another world? How? That was impossible. What do you-
Magic, bitch.
How do you mean impossible? You know 5 incubi. You are marrying an incubus.
And you have magic. You literally
you just did a
used
magic.
it. You did a magic. You'll love doing magic.
Freaking cinematic. Diana stepped towards me, both of her hands softly trying to show she meant no harm as she positioned them in front of her body.
Do not panic. We will send you back now, so there's nothing to worry about.
How will you power the spell?
Oh, she's cute.
Bringing someone here is no easy task, but sending someone back consumes much more energy.
I'll use what energy I have now and rest. We can organize the siege another time when I fully recover. It's not like the Demon Lord can escape the corner we've trapped him in, so we do have some time to spare.
Thank God.
You'd waste time and energy on this human. We must strike now while the Demon Lord is weakened.
Listen, loincloth man, shut the fuck up.
But the human doesn't belong here. She needs to go home.
Thank you.
Shall I prepare the return spell?
Yes.
Please.
Do. I grant you permission to use my energy to power the spell.
No. With a nod, the lanky man held out his hand towards the wall. I looked over in the direction it was aimed at.
Diana's shadow?
I watched as Diana's shadow simply stood up against the wall, mirroring the movements of the real succubus in the room. Before my eyes, the shadow began to morph and expand on the wall on its own. I looked back to Diana to see her wrapping her arms around herself, curling her shoulders over as if she was in pain. Her nails embedded themselves into her forearms, and I could barely make out a painful hiss escaping her clenched teeth.
Oh boy.
Was the spell hurting her that badly? I turned back to the wall to see Diana's shadow shaking and vibrating as if it was resisting the change the man was forcing on it.
You will obey my command. Open the gates to the void, and allow passage to the world we seek.
Okay.
Transitum perenam peto tranibris. Ubi aperiut. Ianoium. Residium.
I'm sorry?
Satanism.
Latin?
Yep.
The only Latin I remember is from a song Mr. Willings had me sing in 8th grade. It was a super short Latin song. It's Ubi Caritas. Que Amor. Deus EBS. That's it.
Cor Cano Los Dos?
Upon Diana's final word, her shadow burst and expanded into an oval-shaped doorway. I stared wide-eyed at the passage before a hand placed itself on my shoulder, forcing me to look over. The one with the spear gently pressed my shoulder forward and looked down at me with almost a stern face.
You must leave now. The faster you leave, the quicker we can close the void.
You don't have to fucking tell me twice.
Okay, bye!
See ya.
Go! Go get married!
Thank you.
Thanks.
I quickly nodded and lifted the bottom of my dress, stepping forward to make a run for the passageway. However, before I could bolt towards my freedom, a snarl echoed through the room. I don't like this.
How dare you interfere with my summoning?
So now I'm gonna interfere with yours.
Papa-in-law, can you just fuck off?
Peepaw.
Peepaw, please! Oh shit. At that very moment, Diana began to scream, arching her spine and throwing her head back. Around her body were red-tinted bolts of lightning flashing and shocking her form.
No! Human! Use the passage! Now!
Okay, he didn't have to tell me twice. I bolted towards the portal, diving forward as I neared it, but I was forced back by a burst of energy and a flash of red light. I fell to the floor, almost slamming my head onto the stone. Oh shit.
A human will never, ever leave this world alive!
Our dream is coming to fruition.
I do not like this.
Well, Sam's not here, so our dream can't come true yet.
So as long as he doesn't realize
As
we're missing,
long as he just stays wherever the fuck he is.
we're fine.
Okay.
You spineless worm!
Worms don't have spines.
The Demon Lord might get through!
I think that was the
But
point
the
of it.
human.
Close it!
As commanded, the man pulled his hand back, visually forcing his arm back behind his body, and Diana's shadow quickly began to morph back into a simple shadow. The electricity around Diana faded away, and she began to tip forward. The man with the spear dropped his weapon and caught Diana in his arms, cradling her to his body as she panted and gasped for air.
I don't sense the Demon Lord anywhere.
Thank you, Bunny.
The worm has to scurry through the shadows to try and fight back. He'll be dead soon enough.
How is she, guard?
Diana seemed to look uninjured, but her body was twitching from the aftermath of the magical attack. Her visible eye was shut tight as she dug her fingers into the guard's jacket to cling to him. As her eye opened, I saw a blood red.
Not blood.
I saw not a ruby,
Blood ruby red color.
but I saw a cold and unfriendly golden color painted over her iris. Her mouth opened as she panted for air, and I could see hunger in her facial expression. But she continued to stare at the wall, not wanting to make eye contact with anyone. I'm sure it's awkward when you're in such a mood for you're tired and you're hungry and you're a succubus and you need energy and you're just like,
Damn, I'm hungry.
I'm hungry for that dick.
There are no physical wounds, but she's been weakened. I must give her my energy so she can recover.
You need your energy. Are you guys gonna go fuck?
Yep. The man swiftly moved and hooked an arm underneath Diana's knees, lifting her up bridal style as she clung to his jacket, shivering. The spear that had fallen to the floor faded into black and purple mist as he quickly left the room with her in his arms. My mind, however, began to panic. I couldn't go home? Why was I being forced to stay? Damn the Demon Lord, this wasn't right!
There's an imp in the castle. That is the only way the Demon Lord could have been able to interfere.
So get him out.
You! Guards by the door! Hunt it down!
A pair of guards that were apparently by the door saluted the one commanding them and ran off. I felt out of place, alone, terrified as to what was going to happen. The Demon Lord wanted me here, and his words pounded at my mind. How was I gonna get home? Would I ever be able to go home?
Hey.
Hi.
I looked up to see the winged person hovering near me before they
Winged.
moved and sat on their knees on the stone ground beside me.
We'll get you home, okay? Diana just needs a little rest, okay?
She needs more than rest. She needs to use a different spell to send her back. The Demon Lord will expect her to use the shadow spell again.
He's really hot. He's really attractive. Is there like a side quest?
He kind of reminds me. You probably don't watch Ruby. Kind of reminds me of Ren from Ruby.
He kind of reminds me of, like, just a little bit. Maybe it's just like the eyes and the hair, but
How about the
Byakuya.
normal way?
Ah,
I'm sure
Byakuya
we can connect the
Kuchiki!
witch, or even the warlock she used
Oh,
before,
he was
to reopen a portal to the human
big.
world.
When
He
I was
kinda-
like
this
12.
Images. Ren. He kind
Oh.
of looks like Ren.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, he
drawn
cute.
nicely. Yeah, he's got a little pink in his hair.
Oh, he's really cute.
Isn't he? Oh,
Oh,
my gosh,
fuck.
right? Look at him though. Like the freaking, they're similar. They're 100% like the same person,
Oh my god, he's really cute.
right? Isn't he?
Kill me.
Live Ren. Ugh.
Anyway,
Anywho.
we're gonna end this episode off here because it's very hot and we've reached our boiling point and we're going to die. How do you feel about this so far?
I'm liquid on the inside.
I meant about the game.
I'm liquid on the inside. So far, it's actually really good. I'm concerned because the fact that we're now in the demon world, and we had that dream that we're probably gonna die.
I don't like that.
I don't want to cry. Like I want to cry from being happy or excited. I don't want to cry from the fact that like we or Sam died.
Oh my god, no.
Because when they said, oh hey, there's gonna be suicide, like forewarning kind of thing, and then it said that going to the demon world was suicide, I have a bad feeling, like, instead of us dying, Sam might die. I don't want that to happen.
I don't like these ideas.
But, you know...
For some reason, when they mentioned suicide in the beginning, like, for some reason, the first thing that popped into my head was Damien. I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that he's trying to get away from the demon. Like, when you go with him, he's human.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to be human. I don't want to be a demon anymore. It's like, I want to stay as far away from it as possible, besides my brothers.
So you mean, like, you think that if they were, like, taken to the abyssal planes or something like that by the demon lord, that he would probably just get out of there by that?
I have no idea. But
I hope that the only mention of suicide was in the beginning.
I really hope
that
so.
one random thing, that little thing of suicide that they mentioned.
God, I hope so, because I would really hate to
hate
play with the fact that one of the, like, incubi
I would hate
boys.
to just lose any of the characters in this game so far. Because even, like, Diana, like, there's...
Like, I don't like
still...
Diana, but we have, like, a bond, kind of.
Yeah, she made out with me, so you know. Alright.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. Share with your friends if you like not being able to go to your own wedding.
Oh, yeah.
That you planned so hard with your loving fiance.
Can you imagine, like, she just got taken away, like, if the time was the same as the actual, like, human world or whatever, he would think that you stood him up.
That would be terrible.
And no one, because she was alone, no one would have known that this happened, so it was just pretty much like literally she's just missing.
So he's probably just standing at the altar with his brothers next to him and the whole family and friends all in, like, the pews at the church or whatever, and he's just like fidgeting, he's thinking, and James is like, don't worry, I'm sure she's just running late, or Matthew's like, yeah, don't worry, she's on her way. And, like, everyone's, like, trying to be encouraging.
Damon's like, I can't hear her anywhere, to be honest.
Oh my god!
All I can hear is internal screaming.
Like, that's not different from what normal.
You zoom in on her head and all you see is you and Jim in her head just...
Oh my fucking god.
But anywho.
I hate that idea. Anyway. Bye-bye!
Bye!